Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Blackfoot Book Club again on the banks of the River Severn in beautiful, oh so beautiful Ironbridge. And I'm back here again with my fourth self-published book, Chasing the Impossible, and the Sword of Damocles. It's the book on Liverpool Football Club I've always wanted to write, and contained within this very hefty book, I don't know why I've shown you the spine, are 8 personal chapters, and this is the third one. Now, as with all of my personal chapters, they're very, very long. However, just look at the oldest iron bridge in the world behind me and the River Severn ambling on by. Ignore the man in the strange glasses in the front of the screen and enjoy this, hopefully, as I try, with every fibre of my being, to bring a modicum of justice to my own written word. St. Michael, God, and the glory that was Rome. AS Roma 0, Liverpool 2. Following my first 2 European trips in the 1996-1997 season, it would be a further 3 seasons before I ventured into Europe again. On the footballing front, the Reds would triumph over Celtic from Scotland in a much vaunted Battle of Britain. I had tickets until a dramatic reduction in the availability meant I lost out in a ballot, and against a Valencia side from Spain who were fast gaining a reputation for thrilling, attacking football. Quixotically, this victory was a nadir in so many ways, as it projected into the consciousness the absurdity of Liverpool having joint managers at this time, and sadly, the departure of Roy Evans, a Liverpool stalwart for decades, soon followed. Before and after came humiliations and embarrassments both on and off the field. On it, the Reds would lose to Racing Strasbourg and an improving Celta Vigo, before not qualifying for European competition at all in the last year and season of the 20th century, and also firmly under a now singular manager in Frenchman, Gérard Houllier. However, Liverpool's boss had slowly installed a winning template into place with some astute signings, combining with a local backbone already at the club in the form of Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler, Jamie Carragher and Danny Murphy. The absence of European football was soon rectified by Houllier, and after a season without, the Reds again qualified for the UEFA Cup after the turn of the millennium. Closer to home, 22 years ago and mere months before the turn of the century and indeed a new millennium, I left my hometown of Portsmouth for good after securing a sought-after work promotion. It was pursued vigorously for a number of reasons, but a brief synopsis would be simply I had a deep need to spread my wings and move away from home. I was ambitious, corporate-minded, motivated with a huge desire to succeed, to make it, to prove myself right and maybe prove a few people wrong too. I wanted to earn a good living after barely scraping by for far too many years and being the recipient of far too many minor handouts from a mother I dearly, dearly miss to this very day. I would also miss this misunderstood misanthrope who was my mother and some dear friends too, but a work opportunity came along that I really, really wanted, as it would enable me in 1999 to take a chance, make a big move, earn twice as much money as I'd ever earned before, secure a mortgage on a reasonably sized house, climb the corporate ladder, smile politely at those slightly higher on said ladder, and steadily rise to the top position and king of the Western world. Okay, it wasn't quite that grand. Oh, and the real reason that I wanted this job was because it necessitated a move to the English Midlands, and that meant one overriding thing. Rather than being nearly 5 hours away in the car from Liverpool, I was now just 90 minutes and a few windy A roads away. So before I'd even unpacked any boxes or settled myself into my new home far away from home, I'd applied to the local Liverpool Supporters Club and was welcomed with open arms by a ragtag bunch of the warmest human beings you could ever wish to meet, and I promised myself that not only was I going to go to as many games as I could muster here in England, I was going to add to my European travels again as soon as possible. I didn't have to wait long. And I chose the most incredible season with which to start spending my newfound excess disposable income. Following wins in Romania, the Czech Republic and Greece, the Reds were drawn to Italy in the 4th round of the UEFA Cup and a first leg tie in Rome against the famed AS Roma of Stadio Olimpico fame and the venue for Liverpool's European Cup triumphs of 1977 and 1984. I adore Graham Souness's gladiatorial one-armed hoisting of the huge trophy to a dark and brooding Roman night as Liverpool defeated AS Roma on penalties in their own Stadio Olimpico home and for the biggest European trophy of them all. So I had to go to Rome for the stadium, for the history, for the cliched journey this Liverpool team were on, and for a full day in the Roman sunshine before returning into Liverpool airspace a day later and on my 29th birthday. I have very little recollection now as to the booking processes, but I again travelled with the infamous Town's Travel of Liverpool, and as always, despite the famed stories of yore, everything went perfectly to the itinerary plan. I had travelled with them for all previous European journeys, but this time it would be different, as I wouldn't be travelling with Steve the taxi driver, as I had on my 2 previous trips. I'm positive that Dave, famed organiser of my local supporters club, travelled too, and with a ragtag bunch of maybe half a dozen others, and I had the good fortune to get along famously with the ladies and gentlemen nearest to me on the chartered plane. Their names are now lost to the mist of time. But back in the present, we landed at Rome Airport and grouped together to explore the Italian capital. The glorious city of Rome was kind to us, and the weather held for the most part as we seemingly dashed from one historical site to another. From memory, we had the very early morning until the very early evening in which to traverse Rome and complete our supermarket sweep dash through Rome, from the imposing Italian Parliament building, the long-awaited first glimpse of the Colosseum, the Spanish Steps, the Trevi Fountain, and of course the obligatory pizza, a beer or two, and just inhaling and enjoying the sweet sights and sounds of Rome. I've long adored the legends of both the Colosseum and the Trevi Fountain, legends both footballing linked or otherwise, but I fondly recall loving the Spanish Steps and the architectural surrounds of that period, perhaps an hour, no more than that, but that short time being my overriding favourite part of our mad dash around a major European capital city. The coach transfer to the stadium and early entry into the Stadio Olimpico was untroubled and far from the hostility many Liverpool fans received on the night. AS Roma hooligan gangs attacked tens of fans throughout the day, inflicting several knife and slash wounds in sporadic attacks throughout the city. The storied ill feeling from the 1984 European Cup final in Rome, plus the following year's tragedy in Belgium, is often cited as the overwhelming reason for the mindless violence, and not the sheer aggressive nature that will always pervade a footballing ultra or hooligan. The perpetrators live this unruly and illegal life when cloaked in a group of hooligans that can easily attach themselves to a football club. Italian fans have been infamously linked to so many similar random and horrific attacks in the past, but thankfully the vast majority of the 6,000 Reds in the away section in the majestic Stadio Olimpico would only witness the crazy violence that broke out in the AS Roma section to the left of us at half-time. With the half-time score at 0-0, the Italians to the left of us decided this was the perfect time in which to hurl any and everything into our neighbouring section. But that was just the entree before the feast that was one Italian, clad in a full-covered hooded jacket, a la Kenny in South Park, taking on all comers. His fists of fury locked and loaded, he simply scattered the terrace around him with continual fearful blows as he fought his own South Park war. When no one cared to approach him any longer, he went looking for them, wailing in all directions for another challenger, another opponent, and yet another punch bag. That memory will forever bring a wry smile to my face, but as half-time shows go, well, it was just a little too realistic for my liking. Sadly, it rather summed up the first 45 minutes of football within the confines of a stadium I had long dreamed of visiting that was rather packaged within the first half of the night's football. The Stadio Olimpico was still a fine old lady, but she was showing her age a little 22 years ago, and I dare say as I write these words, the stadium will now have been modernised for a newer century. I had a spectacular view of both Kenny the Fighting Italian as well as the football on the pitch, but the first half was drab and unremarkable. The first 30 seconds of the second half would change the entire game and be anything but unremarkable. A sloppy pass across the AS Roma defence let in Michael Owen, who skipped past a tackle before driving the ball into the bottom corner of the Italians' net. Owen's reaction was one of supreme confidence in his own ability and a real look at me moment, a real look at what I've done, and boy did he deserve it. He pounced on a dreadful mistake and an absolute footballing gift, but with absolute clinical precision he drilled the ball home to give the Reds, playing in the alternative colours of yellow and blue, a shock and unexpected 1-0 lead. 25 minutes later Liverpool's lead would be doubled after a pinballing around the Italian penalty area resulted in a deft cross from Christian Ziga being equally deftly headed beyond the Roma goalkeeper by Michael Owen for his second goal of the night, and with a memory now having no recall whatsoever of the Italians coming close to reducing the 2-0 lead, Liverpool had firmly created yet another piece of Roman history in this grand old stadium with a famous 2-0 away win. After a long delay in the stadium to allow the authorities to disperse the local fans and ultras, it was a relatively uneventful return to the airport, and mere hours later we were back in Liverpool airspace and I was, officially, a 29-year-old gentleman. Quite the way to commence a birthday. 6 days later, I would be at a rather more modern Coliseum, that of Anfield, and the home of Liverpool for the return second leg in this European tie. I had been lucky enough to attend all 3 previous cup games against Rapid Bucharest, Slovan Liberec and Olympiacos, and along with Dave and the gang from the local supporters club, we were all incredibly lucky to be standing on Liverpool's famous Kop end for the return game with AS Roma, and a game that has now long become a part of Liverpool folklore. An earlier passage from my chapter, "Was This the Ghost of Jose Maria Garcia Aranda?" bears repeating. On the 22nd of February 2001, AS Roma came to Anfield 2-0 down from the first leg of the 4th round of the UEFA Cup. 7 days earlier in Rome, I was one of the lucky 6,000 Reds to be stationed at the away end of the Stadio Olimpico, and watched first with disbelieving eyes as the Roma fans fought amongst themselves at half-time, as they couldn't get to us. One Roman warrior in a Kenny from South Park hooded jacket was reminiscent of Mike Tyson in his pomp, and after half-time, my disbelieving eyes saw Michael Owen score 2 predatory goals for the mighty Reds just for the occasion on this gladiatorial Roman night in alternative yellow. Houllier had shocked everyone and played Owen and Fowler in an otherwise fairly drab game. Liverpool gladly took the away goals and the clean sheet and whistled a happy tune back to Anfield, and I celebrated my birthday in Italian airspace and with the widest of smiles. Then, on the 22nd of February 2001, the Spanish referee Jose Maria Garcia Aranda took centre stage. In a tight game of missed chances for the Reds and the beautifully all-white AS Roma, first Aranda gave a soft penalty on Emil Heskey, but Owen's equally soft penalty was easily saved. With 20 minutes to go, Gianni Guigu scored a majestic curling shot at the Kop end to make it 2-1 on aggregate, and within minutes Marcus Babbel handled in the penalty area, and that referee again, Jose Maria Garcia Aranda, pointed directly, without equivocation and with a straight-armed definitive point very definitely to the penalty spot. AS Roma, minutes from going out, are now on the verge of possibly squaring the tie 2-2, and all results and ways of getting such a result are now firmly on the table. Then the referee pointed for a corner. Mayhem ensued as poor old Jose Maria Garcia Aranda was swamped in white shirts demanding their penalty. It was a penalty. No need for the referee to troop off to the side of the pitch and watch it on a damn television screen. Or perhaps in retrospect there is. Or there was. But who cares? Aranda was besieged by Roman gladiators in white, and he simply waved his yellow card around like he was directing traffic. 3 to 4 were definitely booked in seconds, and you could probably make a case for it being 5, but no matter, as with 5 minutes to go he sent off Damiano Tomasi for good measure, and the Reds squeaked through to a date with Porto in the quarter-finals. I'll conclude by saying that, and without a shadow of a doubt, that referee, Jose Maria Garcia Aranda, pointed definitively to the penalty spot. It's as demonstrably obvious, blimey, as can be. Then he pointed for a corner. My old travelling companion Charlie was stood right next to me on the Kop as the Spanish referee gave the Italians from AS Roma a penalty, and whenever we've needed a laugh over the footballing miles as well as the footballing years, we've returned to this brief and spectacularly bizarre moment in time. I can still recall us looking at each other as though perhaps something had gone badly awry within the Matrix, A glitch, perhaps, who knows? I doubt even dear old Mr. Garcia Aranda knows. But no matter, the Reds would triumph 2-0 against Porto in the quarter-finals, setting up that gloriously footballing cliché of a mouth-watering semi-final over 2 legs, home and away, with FC Barcelona of Spain. It would be 6 weeks or so before defeating AS Roma and travelling to the famed Camp Nou home of FC Barcelona, and another footballing dream would come true for this lucky Liverpool supporting Red. Demonstrably. I still can't say it. God damn it. Oh well, there you go. One minor blunder from my beautiful book that I'm immensely proud of. Chasing the Impossible and the Sword of Damocles. But who cares? We're by the River Severn in beautiful Ironbridge. It was only one mistake. God damn it. That was as true a story and truly recollected as possible. The guy in the Kenny from South Park jacket really did go whirling around. Like a whirling dervish, I think they used to call it. Punching everybody that was within sight. Not a single Englishman or Liverpool fan was there. All Italians. Complete mayhem. They bombarded us for 15 minutes. It was all rather hairy. And then we won 2-0 and we travelled back before that incredible second leg when the referee, Jose Maria Garcia Aranda, definitely pointed with as straight an arm as possible for a penalty. And then he waved for a corner. Incredible. What a memory. Thanks for watching. This has been another crazy episode from the Blackfoot Book Club. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll leave you in peace and in solidarity. And thanks so much for watching. Peace, everyone.